let's start from the beginning. I was in high school, probably middle school actually. I was kept out of groups. Nobody involved me in parties. I was not informed. I would be given stupid excuses कि यार हम वहाँ चले गए नहीं यार तेरा याद नहीं आया. I was let alone, and then I was bullied also. Then somehow maths मेरे से कभी हुई नहीं, and I was in that rat race of कि साइंस हो तो कूल हो, ह्यूमैनिटीज वाले बच्चे, कॉमर्स वाले बच्चे तो पढ़ते नहीं हैं, तो साइंस ही लेनी है. एंड आई डिड नॉट नो दैट वी कुड थ्राइव एज, even if we are doing something as mere as something like anything, any specific profession that does not stand out in itself, you can make it special by following your passion and bringing in that passion in that specific profession. So I had to drop maths. I took biology, and then वहाँ पे problem हुई because AIPMT मेरे से हुई नहीं, and horrible marks. But somehow I made the move to China, where my dad's colleague's daughter was posted, and somehow it was an international medical school where everything was taught in English. So I was somewhere along the line, I was nervous, I was afraid, but it was like a getaway for me because I wanted to get away from this place where I was always trying so hard to fit in, and at the end of the day I would just end up hurting myself कि मैं इतना ट्राई कर रहा हूँ but कुछ हो नहीं रहा है यार, कुछ बन नहीं रही बात, मेरे दोस्त नहीं बन रहे हैं, और जो बन रहे हैं मुझे लग रहा है वो दोस्त हैं भी कि नहीं है, पीठ पीछे कुछ और, सामने कुछ और. So anyway, we gave myself a chance. I went to China, and I reached a place where I realized, oh my god, घर ही better था यार, यहाँ कहाँ आ गया हूँ मैं. I still remember I was walking on the streets, probably the second day of my life in, it was a city called Tianjin. It's 3 hours from Beijing, which is the capital of the country. So I remember a family walking up to me, and two kids. They were very respectful, very nice. Those kids they had a very special request. They didn't want to take a picture with me. They wanted to touch my eyelashes. They were so amazed by a foreigner having eyelashes longer than the usual ones that were there in their country. Like the average eyelash length would be something that they weren't used to, and that those two kids came and touched my eyelashes, and I was like, what is happening? For me, my defenses were up because I was, again, I was coming from a point of fear, from a point of defense where my defenses would come up so quickly before I could even give it a thought ki, are yaar, there is something known as curiosity. They have not seen foreigners over there, and a country like China where everything is controlled by the government. There is no Facebook, there is no Instagram, there is no Google, there is no YouTube. Everything is blocked. Everything. So imagine a country where kids are grown up with the thought that there is no other country in the world, and that foreigners cease to exist. So for me, that entire journey was, I mean, there were times when I used to come back to my hostel, I used to cry because I was tall. I was one skinny Sikh in that country who was not used to all that attention. And my reason of getting away from my place was to get away from all that. And then I realized I was right in the hub of it, where I was getting 10x more attention than I was expecting, or I even thought of. But anyway, somehow we made it through. I started working there part-time, illegally. And then I realized that I needed to learn the language so that I could give it back to them. Now, I'm not saying you need to take inspiration from this, because I know जब कोई नई language सीखते हैं तो सबसे पहले क्या सीखते हैं? उस language की क्या सीखते हैं पहले? Yes. So those were the 4 words that I first learned, and but then I realized those weren't enough because I was being cheated. And I used to, since I was a national basketball player, I was teaching basketball over there to young kids. And every month I would get some cut in my payment for some reason that I did not understand. And the translator who used to speak to me, he used to give me some random XYZ reason. And I was like, ki kya ho raha hai? But then somehow I would be like, theek hai, kuch to aa raha hai. And then I realized ki my friend, one of my seniors in my college only told me that you're being cheated. These are unnecessary cuts that aren't needed, unnecessary completely, and you can, like, okay, best thing is you learn the language and then you figure it out and then you can fight back. So then I learned my language. I learned Chinese. I was fluent in it, And then came the era where I started bodybuilding, because somewhere along the line, bodybuilding has, for me, it's not like I want to look good. I mean, of course, it's an added advantage. You grow into your t-shirts, you get that validation from somebody else, which you actually don't need. But for you, it's some source of motivation. But then I started bodybuilding because it gave me, I wanted to be stronger from the inside. And being stronger from the outside helped me get that somewhere along the line. I started competing. I wanted to see how I was on stage. I sucked big time in the beginning. And then I started TikTok in China. You all know what TikTok is. So the mother app in China is called Douyin. So we started doing that. I gained a lot of fame, and there came a point in my life where I started moving away from my faith. So the swaroop that you see right now with my kula dada and a 5-6 meter parna on my head or a turban is something that I was very ashamed of, because I thought that was something that was giving me that unwanted attention and I wanted to get it rid of. But I knew I was not strong enough to get it rid. So what I would do was I would try to, uh, mingle my way or try some different tweaks. मैं अपना जूड़ा, बिल्कुल पीछे कर देता था. Or I used to wear those bandanas, try to keep it as plain as I can. I used to use so much gel on my beard that it would be so hard for me to even eat my lunch. I'd be like, यार मेरा मुंह इतना टाइट हो गया है, अब मैं नहीं खाऊंगा because वो जेल खुल जाएगा. So I was just trying so hard to fit into a country that was probably not meant for me. But somehow, anyway, we moved on. I started TikTok. I started posting videos. We gained a lot of fame somehow. And then there came a point in life where I was right at the edge of losing myself completely, because something happened, an online controversy happened. And just by the way, this is the first time I'm opening up with this on this stage. I'm very lucky to have this stage. So something really bad happened. My words were taken out of context. Imagine you're an Indian in China, and both the countries don't have really good political connections, and they're not on good terms. They have never been on. So I was targeted for my identity, for my nationality, for the things that I've done. On top of that, years and years of racism that I've faced on probably a daily basis. Going to the metro, going to a subway, being taking pictures of, taken videos of, यहाँ पे हाथ रख के पैर के नीचे से, or somehow, and my observation powers increased over there because I was so aware of what was happening around me. I knew what was happening, but I did not have the power to stop it or to stand against it. And then this happened to a point where I was so close to just running back, because they say social media is a double-edged sword. It can make you and it can break you. So I was at that point where I was done, and my phone number was leaked. My address people had, and simple like Paytm apps over there in Chinese apps, those payment apps were leaked. People used to send me 0.01 RMB and send me a text that go back to your country, you're done here. I knew somewhere along the line, I knew that it was all in the phone. If I just turned my phone around and put the screen on the back, it'll be done. But I was so anxious. I wanted to run away. I called mom. I cried. I was like, I don't know what's happening. My words were taken out of context. Now I feel like the entire country is against me. And I was done. I blocked my account. I came off. I deleted the app. Then suddenly, somewhere along the line, one day, I called up. It was during COVID, and I called up the visa immigration department of Thailand, because that was the only country that I could go to which had no arrival, on arrival visa, and I could just come back to India the next day, because I was so terrified. I just wanted to run away. But then something that night, something tweaked in me, and then I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I want to sleep over it. Just give me one night. And I slept over it. I did Sukhmani Saab ka part, finished that. Somehow in the morning I woke up and I was like, these people want me to be gone. I was like, I want to fight this, because I realized that if I run away, I am giving in to what they want, right? And then I told my mom, I was like, I'm not leaving here. I'm going to be staying here. I stayed there for 2 more years. I competed. Everything came back to normal. I loved life. And to a point where I knew people would recognize me. It was so bad that 8 people out of 10 who had anything related to the fitness industry in China knew. And they would recognize me, they would see me, they would call me out. But I was so confident in myself that I was like, I'm done. It's okay, क्या कर लेंगे? मेरे पास तो आके कोई कुछ बोल नहीं पाएगा ना. So that was one phase of my life. The next was me figuring out what I wanted to do when I moved back, because that was also a very sudden move. Because 4 years in China, I couldn't come back home. COVID, but then they opened borders in 2023. 2023 July, I booked my ticket. I came home, saw my mom, my dad for the first time in 4 years, and technically, theoretically, I knew it was 4 years. It had been 4 years, but you know that moment when you open the door and you walk in and you see your parents and their forehead and the hair over that has turned a little gray. That hit me like a rocket, because I knew 4 years was a long time, but when you have that visual realization, it's bad. And then I thought of, okay, let's try something on Instagram. And my Instagram went from 5,000 to 500K in just 3 months. So that happened. Then I realized that, you know, I could use the power that my haters or people who love to make fun of in my favor. Now, for example, we started this conversation with the word lassi, right? I made 3 videos on it. And my first video on that word went viral, and that's what got me from probably 2,000 to 10,000 and got me that threshold of me getting into the stage where I could start growing. So all I wanted to say was it was a very, very distorted, mismanaged phase of events in this story. But my take on this entire journey of mine was that why would you give somebody the power to get under your skin? You know, as long as, how many letters is it? LASSI, 5 letters. It bothers you because you give them that power to make you feel that specific feeling or emotion that you experience when they say that word. Why? Why does a word affect you so much? Use that word, turn it around, and that is the only bullet in their chamber, right? So now I use that word, I take that word, my vlogs are named Lassi Vlogs. So I have taken the only bullet in that chamber, taken it, put it in my pocket, and let them shoot an empty barrel, right? So that's all that I want to say, that as long as you know what you're doing and your why you're doing what you're doing is bigger than your excuses, you will never want to give up. As long as you don't let external factors or things that bother you give that specific word, person, thing, that power of, you know, being able to bother you, you can win the world. So that's about it. And I'm really grateful to be here. And I hope you guys can take probably just 1% of what I've been through and what I've learned in my journey. That would mean a lot, because my idea of starting Instagram was just to give back to the community. So as long as I'm able to give back, that's all I need. My gratitude is my fuel. Thank you so much.